Saludos programas. Do not adjust your screens. That is right. It is me, Adolfo the Nerdy Puerto Rican. I am here to help out because unfortunately our friend Minnie, he caught a chair in the face by the basement dweller. So he's still healing up from that. Minnie, we hope you heal up soon. But yeah, I'm Adolfo the Nerdy Puerto Rican, and we are here to talk about some WWE 2024 Backlash action. And here with me is Mikey.
Hi, I am here. And we also have somebody else joining us too, so let me bring them on. Hi. Maybe.
Frozen in time. He's frozen in time.
He's contemplating life and all the good stuff. Maybe, yes.
He's quite literally frozen, I think. He's probably gonna have to log on like one or two more times. But yes, also with us is John the Professor. Before we go any further, I do just want to show the Bi-Conics Shadow Council. This is the WWE Backlash 2024 script that I am supposed to follow for this, and because to quote Bonesaw, playtime's over. Yeah. So, let's start it off. The baguettes have been bought, the croissants have been eaten, and people are talking about Backlash. And I just want to start out by saying, United States crowd, United States fans of the WWE, y'all are being put on notice. Because last year it happened in Puerto Rico. This year it happened in France. That crowd was ridiculous. Ridiculous. What do you think, Mikey?
I mean, if they want to make Backlash the pay-per-view where it's always going to be international, I'm here for it, because this year France was out of control in the best way possible, and we're going to talk about that throughout the whole entire evening, because they were in for every single match. And then Puerto Rico last year was fantastic too.
Yeah.
Let's just make Backlash an international pay-per-view every single year, because the international crowds bring it so much more than the United States crowds do.
Well, I think, I think a little bit of that has to do with the fact that these international crowds, like, this is the one WWE event that they get live, so it's just like all these years of pent up, like, not having a WWE event in their city is just, coming out. It's almost to say like the United States is a little spoiled in having wrestling events in their area. But so that's, United States WWE crowd, or United States crowds, y'all are put on notice. So let's get into it. And let's talk about the first match of the night, which was the Bloodline versus Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. Mikey, what did you think about this match?
Okay, first and foremost, this crowd was already hot from the jump for anything. So this was great. And originally, this match was touted to just be a regular tag team match. But even before we got to, what happened, the two teams entered, and before the bell even rang, they just started brawling with each other, which has been a consistent theme the last couple of weeks, where they be brawling all over the place, which is super fantastic. And then Nick Aldis comes out and says, we're not going to have this. We're not going to do this. We're not going to not have this match. So Nick Aldis changes the rules, and it becomes a street fight. So this match then becomes a street fight, and I got to be honest, Adolfo, by the end of this match, this probably was my favorite match of the whole entire night, just because these four men killed it in the ring. They try to kill each other. There's a whole bunch of highlights. Randy Orton doing RKO on tables, steel chairs and tables were involved. The fact that Kevin Owens picked up Tama Tonga and did like a body drop from the top rope into a stack of chairs was a beautiful, chaotic crescendo of violence. And more importantly for me, I lost my mind because we got the debut of Tama Tonga's brother, Tonga Loa, and now we officially have the Gorillas of Destiny in WWE. So for those of you who aren't aware of it, the Gorillas of Destiny is a staple tag team of New Japan, and they have won multiple New Japan Tag Team Championships. And now that they're in WWE with Zola Sikoa, this 2.0 version of the Bloodline is about to get even more crazy, and it's going to get on and popping. This match ruled. I love me a propensity for violence. And even though WWE's street fights don't necessarily have the blood elements of everything, these four did enough to be like, this is how we do a street fight if you are not allowed to bleed. Like, by the end of it, nobody coming out without some bruises.
So now I have to ask though, because Paul Heyman the whole time has been looking like kind of scared for his life. So what with this new Bloodline 2.0, what do we think is going to happen with Paul Heyman?
Well, the funny thing is I think it's one of those situations that Paul Heyman's like, blink twice if you're being held hostage. Like, it's gonna be okay, I promise. Because leading into this, Paul Heyman let it slip on the SmackDown Go Home show that he did not tell Roman Reigns about what's been going on. He did not tell Roman Reigns that he pulled him to be eligible for the draft. And so right now, I think Paul Heyman's in survival mode because he can't say anything against Solo, Tama, and, Tama Tonga and this whole entire new iteration of the Bloodline. Because if not, Solo Sikoa is going to hurt that man. And literally, we see it later in the evening when Jey Uso's getting ready for his match later in the night. And then the Bloodline comes by and just stares him down as they walk by. And Paul Heyman, without even uttering a word, just looks at Jey and it's like him parenting some bad kids. And it's just like taking them to the store and everything. And it's just like, save me without saving it. So Paul Heyman, I think, is caught in a rock and a hard place because he has to make sure the Bloodline is still on WWE television, but he doesn't want to tell Roman Reigns because I think Roman's going to drop the ban hammer if he has to come back. So Solo's running roughshod, and I'm kind of here for it.
Yeah. I'm kind of here for it too. Truth be told, I got called in as a ringer tonight, so I didn't get to watch Backlash. But from all the highlights that I've seen and like the pictures of Paul Heyman, like standing in the background, just like fearing for his life, I dig it. I dig it. So it's going to be, it's definitely going to be interesting to see where the Bloodline 2.0 goes and what the response is when the tribal chief does finally come back. But moving on, our next match of the night, we had a triple threat match where we had the champ Bayley versus Naomi and versus Tiffany Stratton. Mikey, what do we think?
I was really happy to see Bayley finally be able to defend her title so soon on a pay-per-view, which has been really nice. And I've liked the quick build that we've had to this post-WrestleMania because Naomi was given a shot, and then Tiffany kind of ruined it, and so then it became a triple threat. And then Nia Jax got involved and ruined that match at some point when we were trying to figure out a number one contender, which was great. I honestly thought these women brought it. My only critique about this match is two things. Number one, then this is not their fault. I blame the camera work because the camera work during this match was kind of a little weird because they cut to certain parts. They cut to them calling matches and everything. It was nuts for sure. And the only other critique I had about this match is that the finish kind of felt rushed because Bayley won via rolling up Naomi for the pin, which was like, oh, okay, well, that's fine. But other than that, I thought this was really great. I'm kind of surprised that Naomi got the pin here, but with Naomi getting pinned, I can only assume that that means that Bayley and Tiffany are going to go at it during the summer now because Tiffany did not get pinned in this match. She did not lose anything. And, we shall see with all that. But,
wait,
maybe
Mikey, breaking
news.
John is here.
Hey,
the professor.
I exist.
You exist.
Man, I was listening to the music. I could hear you two half the time. I thought you saw me this whole time. Unbelievable. I wanted to say so many things about the last match.
Well,
you
okay.
you can
Let's
say
go back
them.
real quick.
No, it's fine.
So-
I mean,
No,
we've
no,
already-
no. I'm running the show here. Playtime's
Adolfo's
over.
moderating for us.
It's over.
It's over. Yeah, John, Professor, tell us your thoughts on Bloodline versus Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. Yeah.
I'll make this quick. I haven't put a lot of WWE matches on my match of the year. Go back and rewatch this at the end of the year list, and I put this one on there because I want to revisit this at the end of the year for sure. Especially another one that we're going to talk about that you were just about to talk about. I was like, I was excited about this match. I thought it was a lot of fun. What drove me crazy, and now I can't unsee it because of the internet, is the botch of pulling the ref off, which makes me sad that I even saw it because now I can't get over that. But in the moment, that didn't matter. I love how over obviously Kevin Owens is over in France because speaks to the French. I thought RKO and him work great together. It's almost like a comedy duo, and it's so much fun. I hope we're going somewhere cool with the Bloodline. It feels like we're going to do cool stuff with the Bloodline. They're murderers, and that makes me happy. That's kind of a sum up of where I was going to go.
Okay, Prof. And then Paul Heyman, should he be fearing for his life, or is he okay?
Ooh, I think it's more interested in it's more interesting if he is fearing for his life because we've never seen him in this position of weakness, right? If his whole ever since the mid 90s, right? We've never seen Paul Heyman in a withering, what am I going to do? So now it's cool and it's new and it's different. So him being intimidated and scared, it kind of gives this story somewhere to go. And I think that's fun and interesting and stretches him a little bit. We get to see a little bit of range in that sense. He kind of got that way with Brock when I remember from watching wrestling around the time I stopped wrestling, where he would get this sort of, oh, I'm afraid thing with Brock every now and then. But now it's definitely like he knows that he could be eliminated at any point. So he's kind of stuck. So I'm interested. I wasn't for a long time, and like we've been talking about the last few weeks, now I'm interested in the Bloodline stuff.
All right, and now to get you caught up, Prof. Bayley versus Naomi versus Tiffany Stratton, and go.
This was my match of the night, and I don't normally pick matches of the night ever. Even with some of the miscues, even with some of the hey, get to this, hey, get to that. Even though the camera caught them calling spots every now and then, this was still ridiculous fun. My goodness. I agree with some of the internet folks about Tiffany Stratton quite possibly having the potential to be one of the greatest of all time. And this is just showcasing even more of that. Prettiest moonsault ever. I mean, I think we can establish that now. Naomi, so much fun to watch. I thought it was another podcast said this, and I'm stealing it, that Naomi was over in France because Europe loves crappy techno house music. I was like, I don't want to do a disservice, but you're not wrong. Okay. Like the music had them all in, like, yay.
Speaking of which, justice for Naomi from
Hey,
our other host,
absolutely.
Andrew.
And I love this whole match. It was just a blast to watch. I could have watched twice as much of this. I think it's a disservice that we only got, I think, what was the time? I don't know what the time of this was. It was not very long, like 12, 13 minutes or so. They could have gone even longer, in my opinion. I loved seeing Naomi doing the, hey, I'm hugging my friend thing at the end. Like, we don't get that sort of respect in WWE ever, really. It's sort of a, I hate you, I lost to you thing. And now we have a genuine, like, oh, there's a camaraderie amongst them and they're fighting for it and they're friends first. Much fun.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So now that we got you caught up, I am going to ask, what do y'all think how long Bayley's reign as champion is going to be? I'm going to start with John, the professor.
How much longer her reign is going to be? I do think they're going to let her hold it through the summer for sure. I could see them waiting until the fall, end of the year to maybe pull the trigger and seeing what storylines develop. I'm not sure what story they're going to put underneath her either. So I think at least through 2024, and maybe thinking of something. We're coming up in what's January? What's our big PLE in January?
Rumble.
Yeah, so Rumble. So maybe going into the Rumble possibly, or early 2024, somewhere in there. I think they'll get this cooking, but I think they'll let her ride for that long.
All right, cool. Okay. Mikey, what do we think?
So I'm of two mindsets. So if we wanted to, I have a long term and a short term. The long term kind of is on the same vein as what the professor had brought up. I think Bailey holds on to it, but I think it gets cut a little bit shorter before the Rumble. I think, if anything, she might lose it at Survivor Series. I
Really?
think that
You think so?
November, I think so, because November she loses the title. We finish out the 2 to 3 weeks before Christmas break in December. Everybody gets the break. Then we come back January, and Bailey's like, all right, so I lost the title. Now, how am I going to get back to it? So build that story and figure out what's there. Now, the short term is because as someone who watches NXT, you know, that really weird third brand that WWE has that only me, Andrew, and Will cover. NXT has shown that you can have really good title reigns, but not have the champion hold on to it forever. So if they wanted to kind of swerve us and to kind of be able to have Bailey defend this thing and have a fun title reign, but not have her keep it for so long, I actually think she might drop it at SummerSlam if they want to keep it a short title reign.
You think so? Really?
Because the only two
Wow.
pay-per-views we have in August as of right now are SummerSlam and then Bash in Berlin. I think it would be really fun if Bailey lost the title at an international pay-per-view, but knowing how
That's
WWE
interesting.
operates, I think
Sure.
if they wanted to make the more viral moments, you have something crazy happen at SummerSlam, which is also a Big Four pay-per-view.
Right.
So if we're
Yeah.
going short term, I think Bailey's holding on to it until SummerSlam. But if we're going to have her have a lengthy run in 2024, I think Survivor Series is where we cut her title reign.
See, I wonder.
Alright.
But I could also see her defending in Survivor Series and then losing in the Rumble
Mm-hmm.
too. Like, and let her at least get a little bit out of it, because she's been a heel for so long, and now she's got this face run going, which seems to have the momentum. I think if it stays hot, I
have a
think they
pop.
would do that, right?
Yeah, it does have a pop. So
I would
Well-
think if the crowd's behind her, they let it run a little while.
yeah, well, Bailey retains the championship, and we will see where her reign takes her. Next up, we have Senor Money in the Bank, Damian Priest versus Jey Uso. Mikey, we're going to start with you this time. Give us your thoughts.
Okay, first and foremost, like the French crowd was all in with Jay's entrance. Like this went nuts. They got the lights going. Jay's like coming in through the crowd, not the front entrance, which was really cool. You have everyone doing the hands motion and doing the yeet as they go along. Also, by the way, can I say that the French audience is amazing because they were all singing these lyrics to these songs?
Oh yeah,
I'm like,
Mhm.
like Randy, first of all, Randy Orton said on his social media that he may have shed a couple of tears backstage because did you hear the way that they were singing his theme song?
Oh yeah.
And then
The
when we
French
talk
crowd
about
was
it later,
ridiculous. Yeah,
the
I mean,
French crowd was nuts.
yeah.
Well,
Not to spend. Go ahead.
I was going to say there. Triple H has gone on record on saying that while they were at gorilla stage at gorilla position, they couldn't hear each other over the audience, and they shut down like all the speakers at gorilla and all that to try to hear each other, and they still couldn't over the crowd. So
Wow. And I feel like the last few podcasts or reviews or summaries I've heard has been, half of it dedicated to the crowd, because they became a character in this one, right? Like there was something about to speak to the entrance, and then I'll let Mikey continue. I had a moment where I was like, oh, the crowd doesn't know Jay's behind him. Like they don't know, they haven't seen him yet. And then it took me a minute to realize, oh no, they know he's there. They're in on it. They're watching with Jay doing the thing. Like they just had a different sense of ensemble, like there. And like they
look at you with the French
With,
ensemble.
just say ensemble with an accent. Ensemble. So it's there was something to it. Like they had a part to play and they played it so well. And I think this is a fantastic example. Mikey, go ahead.
Yeah, the entrance alone was fantastic. Damian makes his entrance. And man, now I'm rooting for Jay to win some sort of championship by the end of this. I knew going into this that he wasn't going to take the title off of Damian Priest, but that French crowd was so behind Jay Uso. And now the French crowd made me believe in Jay even more. I'm like, I need Jay to hold a singles championship before the end of 2024 in some capacity. Because I think Jay has, through his ups and downs after leaving the bloodline, but the last couple of months or so, the audience and the fans have been so behind Jay, and I want to see him hold the title. And this match was fantastic. But what was even more fantastic too is that the continuing downward spiral that is leading to the inevitable implosion of the Judgment Day, because Damian Priest, is doing Damian Priest things, and without any provocation, if you will, JD and Finn make themselves known in various points of this match. And Damian's like, "What are you doing? I didn't tell you to get involved in this match. Go away."
Yep.
And then at the end of the match, too, him yelling at them and reprimanding them, and then telling them to get in position to do the Judgment Day like arm raise and everything. I'm like, oh, this betrayal and the implosion of Judgment Day is going to be beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take it a step further. Finn Balor taking that title off of Damian at some point, it's going to be a beautiful thing to watch. I think Finn is the one to take it off of him.
Ooh,
all right,
Babyface Finn is what I'm waiting on.
All right, Prof. What do we got for Jey Uso versus Senor Money in the Bank?
Face turn Finn taking it from Dan. That would be remarkable. I'm echoing much of what Mikey was just saying. I thought this match was fantastic. I think this was the match that Jay kind of needed coming off the Brothers C+. Like even they've spoken to it now. Like, yeah, we know we could have and should have done better. Really showed like, oh yeah, we could see you as a singles contender and want to see that. They got me on the near falls. I had the second time for sure. I was like, oh my God, they're going to give it to Jay in France. Are you kidding? And then no, it's like, oh, I can't believe I doubted myself. And then it happened again. And then right at the last, McDonough puts the foot up and like, oh, they got me twice. How did they get me twice? Just the storytelling of it dragged me in for that for sure. I was all in on that.
Nice.
There was one, I can't remember exactly where it was. Damian hit Jay with something. I don't know if it was supposed to be a slap or whatever. They were doing that exchange where they stood there and they were just going to trade a little bit. Damian hit him hard. One of those shots. And I was like, ooh, that was either a receipt or like, so they were not holding back at that point for sure. And then, like we said, seeing the Judgment Day implode this way, I kind of like that we're throwing darts at Damian with Rhea gone. I think that creates a cool, I don't want to use theater words and sound hoity-toity, but there's sort of a plot construct to that where it's sort of, oh yeah, she's the real leader and she's gone. And then he has to sort of be like, no, I'm the leader. No, I can tell you what to do too. Like, who leads this thing? And creating the cracks in Judgment Day that way, I think is really smart. We were talking about 6 months ago with Judgment Day where it was like, oh, they're going to start fighting. Oh, they're going to start arguing. And we weren't really sure how it was going to happen. And I think with Rhea being hurt, this gives you a cool opportunity to kind of crack it that way, right, in a much more truthful, it's not just shoehorned or thrown out there type of way.
Right.
But fun match, fantastic match.
All right. So to kind of switch gears a little bit. So Jey Uso, he's beefed with the bloodline already. He's fought his brother. He's got incredible heat going on right now. Or yeah, he's over right now, Jey Uso. Mm-hmm. Where do we think he goes now? Prof, let's start with you.
I don't think this Judgment Day thing is done. I think they might go back to the well on this one for sure. I don't know where or how. I think there's some pontificators out there thinking that we're going to go back to a sort of bloodline versus bloodline civil war thing that's coming down the pike somewhere. probably by SummerSlam, if not by Survivor Series. I don't think they'll milk it that long. I don't know what Jay challenges for. It's interesting that Jay's sort of going for this title. I kind of want to see where this bloodline thing plays out, in my opinion. I would love to see him and Sammy again, like, because I just like seeing him with Sammy and KO, even though KO's got this other thing going. What's great, and this isn't really an answer, so I apologize. I think Jay right now, after this match, can kind of do whatever Jay wants. Jay kind of showed that he can be the singles guy. So he's over with the crowd. You just get him the right storyline, and he doesn't have to be tied down by any bloodline stuff. You can just let him go. And I think that's what without Roman taking up so much space, now Jay can kind of ride. It kind of leaves Jimmy in the dust, but we could talk about that another time. I don't know. I just don't think he's done with the bloodline. I think we're going to see this revisited a few more times.
Okay. All right, Mikey, what do you think?
So picture this, if you will. So with Jay losing to Damian here, I actually think we run it back one more time. I think Jay, because he has grief with the fact that Finn and JD got involved. So I think we run it back again with Jay and Damian, which would be at probably King and Queen of the Ring. And if we want to push it past that, maybe Clash at the Castle. But I think King and Queen of the Ring is where Jay gets the rematch, but ultimately loses. And obviously, we have to wait to see where this bloodline storyline goes, because eventually, I do think when Jimmy is ready to go, ultimately, I think we're getting the Usos versus the Gorillas of Destiny in Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa at some point. That is the SummerSlam match for me. The Usos versus the Gorillas of Destiny.
Yeah.
Like that's the match. However, if we're talking championships and if that's not the path, I think Jay should be the one to take that title off of Sammy. We revisit the friendship. We revisit everything, the brotherhood. And it would be a good, different take of having face on face in a fight for a title, because both men have gone through a lot together. They experienced the trauma, the pain, the suffering that was the whole bloodline saga, but both of them made it out and they're doing great things. And why not have a really nice culmination of this whole brotherly found family situation and have Jay and Sammy go at it? And I think Jay eventually will take that title off of Sammy before 2024 is over.
Really?
Okay.
But I think in the short term, I think Jay is going to be going through the Judgment Day and then post that bloodline stuff. But ultimately, I think Sammy and him should be the match that happens. And that's where Jay gets his title.
All right. Okay. So there we go. Now, moving on, we have Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill versus the Kabuki Warriors. And I just want to really put out there just really quick that Jade and Bianca, wow, they are just ripped. I saw someone did a post where it was Jade and Bianca and they were standing there and they were flexing, doing their thing. And the person had put, all I see are 45 abs. So,
that's a good line. The memes are really good right now. Power Buff Girls is the other one that's going around right now.
They look fantastic. But anyway, Prof, we're going to start with you on this one.
Sure.
Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill versus the Kabuki Warriors. What do you think? Go.
I really wanted more out of this, and this has been talked to death. And I don't want to regurgitate things from the internet, but I'm hearing similar statements from a lot of folks. Okay, I'll slow down. As a match, I thought this was okay. There was that chunk in the middle that we've all noticed where it's about 3 or 4 minutes in the middle where they have no idea where they are or what they're doing. And they tried to repeat a spot and it didn't quite match. And then this happened and then this was off and then no go do that. And the camera caught Bianca kind of going full ring general. And then Jade kind of apologizing a little bit. And Bianca going, it's okay to go. It's okay to go. And I forget that Jade's only been doing this, 3 years, 2.5, 3 years or so? Like Jade's relatively green at this, still learning. So you got to give Jade a little bit of grace, in my opinion. The internet, nah. I thought
the internet sucks. So.
the internet's awful, but you know,
don't listen to him, Jay Cargill. You are beautiful and you're an awesome wrestler.
Still beautiful and you're awesome and it's amazing. And they're gonna try to run you through the dirt, and I'm not trying to do that at all. I'm wondering what was missing here. I'm wondering if they got in their head a little bit, the nerves of the place and being in the middle of this card and knowing that, you know, the cameras are shaking while you're trying to do this, right? There's no way you couldn't feel some kind of anxiety. And how do you calm yourself down and not lose your cues and forget that stuff? So I kind of wanted more out of this. I loved the dual arm bars into power bombs thing. I mean, that was great. Jade bending like a pretzel to get her into position to pick her up and like that was ridiculous. So there's some fun spots in here. I don't mean to take anything away from it. Just that clunky spot in the middle kind of derailed all of them, and they had a really hard time getting that back. They were so that's hard. I think as a tag team, they're going to be great. I think they'll have a solid championship run. I don't know for how long. As we were talking like long-term championships or whatnot, I don't see them holding this for a very, very long time. I think they'll defend this because they're going to run out of places to go storyline wise. I don't see too many avenues for them. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to be hard on it, but
yeah, okay.
This one it missed the mark for me, and that's a shame because on paper it should have done much better.
Okay. All right, cool. Mikey, what are your thoughts?
I think in terms of if we're looking at overall match structure from beginning to end and everything, while this wasn't the worst match I've ever seen, I do have to say that this is my lowest rated match of the 5 that we got on Backlash. And the beginning was great. The ending was good. But in the middle, they kind of all got lost a little bit because there were some miscues. I don't know if the ref made a mistake or whatnot, because Kyrie was kind of like looking around and it's like, hold up, this is not what's going to happen. Jade was a little bit lost because of that miscommunication from whatever end it was. But Kyrie I have to give props to Kyrie in this match, because during that middle section, when things kind of broke down and everybody was kind of at a loss of what to do, Kyrie helped Jade get through the motions to get those tags in, to then pick up back the pace and get everyone back to where we need to. So I don't know. I think the internet's being a little unfair, because I have seen people blame everything on Jade for being so new, and that, you know, the miscommunication came on her. But I feel that the ref also kind of miscommunicated some things too, because
I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
I thought the ref kind of threw Kyrie under the bus doing it the way the ref did. Especially because Kyrie went, oh, okay, well then I'll go tag in Asuka. And it's like, no, do that, because then, plot hole. Okay, hang on.
I think Kyrie did a good job of taking in the situation, not losing her cool, helping Jade get through what, you know, hey, let's just do this real quick, and then tagging in the respective people to get to what we got for the last third of the match, which was fantastic. So I don't think the internet was being fair to Jade. But again, you know, because it's a women's match, everyone is easy to jump on and be like, blame the new girl.
Yeah.
That's what I'm not naming names or other pundits, but that's what someone made a great point on another wrestling review and podcast. They were saying, like, you know, if this was 2012 WWE, they would have just crushed it, right?
Right.
Or 2018 WWE, they would have been like, this was garbage. This is everything that's wrong with wrestling, blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So luckily we're not there. However, and we've talked about this here a lot, we're so much more critical and harder on the women than we are the dudes.
Yeah.
And we had some mistakes by the dudes tonight, and they kind of got off with the, oh, but that's fine. Whereas this one, they went, oh, they're women, let's crush them. And that's disturbing.
Yep. So this actually leads me into my question for this segment. The women's tag team belt, do we feel that they're going to be, it's going to be regulated to the way it has been the WWE, where like every pay-per-view, this tag team belt gets won by someone else and won by someone else or won by someone else? Or do we think that now with Bianca and Jade with the tag team belts? Do we think that, and with the run that the Kabuki Warriors had with the tag team belt, do we think that now there's an actual genuine push to make the women's tag team belts mean something? I'm gonna start with you. Okay,
Sorry,
I'm gonna start with you. No, I'm starting with you, Prof. You talk first. Ready, go.
I'm sorry. I hope so. I don't know how they do it right now. Like I was saying, I don't know how long this run will be between the two of them. If they get over more, which is possible, and it's sort of
they're super over now.
They're super over, and who's Mikey? Go ahead and answer.
Yeah,
I'm collecting my thoughts. I'm sorry.
Okay. So with Bianca and Jade winning these tag titles, I am excited because both these women are on SmackDowns, and we just drafted a couple of women's tag teams to kind of go up against, which, if I remember the draft correctly, we have Piper and Chelsea. We have Indy and Candice, which would be really, really good. Yo, give Indy and Candice something to do. I would love a feud between Jade and Bianca versus Candice and Indy. It'd be fantastic. But the other beautiful thing is, too, and I'm not saying that Asuka and Kairi are too big of superstars to do this, but technically those women's tag team championships are for all three brands. So Raw,
right?
SmackDown,
because they were unified,
and NXT, because they unified the NXT women's tag team and the main roster tag team. So I think Bianca and Jade revisiting a couple of matches in NXT would be fantastic, because there's a whole the women's roster in NXT is deep, and that's just not my bias because I review the show. Like, NXT has the biggest women's roster between all three brands. We have such a big roster in NXT that NXT introduced the women's mid-card title before main roster has, because we're getting the NXT Women's North American Championship match, and that's going to be the winner's going to be determined in a ladder match at Battleground in a couple of weeks. I'm super excited. Y'all are invited to watch that pay-per-view if you want to, but I think Bianca and Jade are perfect to go between main roster and NXT and have some of the tag teams in NXT, go after it. And I mean, they travel between all the brands. So Bianca, Jade, Katana, and Kaden is the match I really want to see, because those four would be fantastic. You have powerful strongness of our champions, and I'm calling them Black Girl Magic until I'm told otherwise, taking on Kaden and Katana, where you have the women's tag team. They're hella small. It's going to be great.
All right, Prof, you want to
I think
get thoughts out, or
I forgot. Yeah, you're right that they unified it, and I was trying to articulate who's down in NXT, but I don't know enough names. But you're right.
Okay.
I think you're right, though. Like, go ahead, and if you're gonna give this any run, get down in NXT, get all the women involved, and start just have them run through a handful of them and get some storylines going. I really hope they make this something, because part of my gut after winning, and I know my gut's not always right, after winning this, I was like, oh, they won it. Okay, that's great. Oh, they're going to screw them. Like, I just immediately felt like they're going to give them a quick run. It's not going to be super long. But time will tell. I just don't trust them to book the women's division properly. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say. They've messed it up so many other times. They made it so weird. And I hope they put some respect on it.
Fair. All righty. And so then this brings us to our main event, where we had Platinum America, Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles for the Championship of the World Wrestling Entertainment belt. Mikey, what do you think?
Okay. Now, while I said that the street fight was my favorite, and that's entertainment-wise, I think from a wrestling standpoint, this is probably my favorite match of the whole entire night. They gave AJ and Cody 30 minutes to wrestle, which is really crazy by WWE standards in this day and age. This is the match that I've always wanted to see upon Cody's return. And the fact that we got it, and even though I knew AJ wasn't taking the title, I gotta give props to AJ. Like, for as long as he's been in this business, the man still got it. Like, holy crap. And I love that AJ's gear was a recreation of his gear that he wore when he faced, Dusty in TNA. Like, that was so fantastic. I was at a loss for words. I was like watching art in motion for me on this one. And of course, the crowd was getting nuts. So for this one too, and again, we brought this up and Professor brought it up a couple other times too. There were points where the cameras were shaking because of how loud this arena in France got for this whole entire match. Man, there are not enough words in the English dictionary to describe how much I enjoyed this match. And this is the type of wrestling that I want to see WWE give me every single time. Because beforehand, underneath the former, leadership, it was for shock and awe, and maybe we get like a couple good matches. Now that we're under this new leadership, I honestly think that this new regime cares about putting on good wrestling entertainment as well as good wrestling. This match really ruled. I was very impressed. Kudos to Cody, but AJ deserves all the flowers in the world.
All right, Prof.
I absolutely agree. This might make my list of things to rewatch by the end of the year. I just think the other two matches of the night kind of slightly edged this one. Although you're right. This was a 30-minute clinic on how to tell a story and how to do wrestling. There were some moments in here that felt like the wrestling I grew up watching. There was some wrestling here that felt Attitude Era. There was some very modern takes on things in here. I think they touched all the bases as far as that goes. They fed the crowd. They did the call and response almost different than other, I'm not talking about Hogan, but as far as like, I know you saw that You're Here With Me thing. They brought them in like we were discussing. And it seems like international audiences are just much more keen to that than we are in America. We're sort of stand and entertain me as opposed to in the rest of the world, which is like, I'm here
entertained.
with you. Are you not entertained? Gladiators versus Odd. I thought there was some wild things risks they took. That cutter, Cody got so much height on the cutter when he came down.
Holy
he
crap,
almost
man.
missed AJ completely. It's like, oh my god. AJ doing that 540 still to this day is like, how are you doing that with perfect hair? My goodness.
Right? His hair is fantastic.
Fantastic
AJ
hair.
Look,
Let me know how you do your style.
Well, I was gonna say, I was just like, AJ's not normally the cup of tea, but as soon as he did that, when he did the 540, just flipped the hair, I'm like, Fabio, is that you?
My goodness,
I'm
everyone.
gonna take a still shot and put it on a romance novel cover.
Yeah, I believe the phrase is sploosh. Yeah. Remarkable stuff.
Waka waka.
Waka waka. I never thought the title was in danger, but they made me believe that they were fighting for it, if that makes sense. And AJ, so AJ has one of those rare feathers in his cap as far as wrestling to be like one of Dusty's last matches and then here for Cody, which is, you say that out loud and go, well, how long have you been around? Oh, you've been around forever. And so I don't know what I think. I think E said that he was eating horse meat to be young during the pre-show, which I buy it. If that's what's keeping you young forever and giving you those abs, keep going.
All right.
Yeah.
So now, this actually segs into my final my question for this segment, and after Backlash, AJ Styles in an interview did say some things to the effect of it's getting harder to rebound after these types of matches, almost making a little hint like this might be it. Do we think that this is AJ Styles' last match? Mike, I'm going to start with you.
No, I don't think this is AJ's last match, but I do believe that now we are, after this match with Cody, I believe we're entering the final chapter of AJ Styles. So I don't think, unless Triple H wants to do, unless Hunter wants to do something where AJ gets one more title run before he retires, I think AJ is probably in his era of.
Mikey, actually, it's Paul Levesque. That's his name. It's Paul Levesque. I can't believe he called him Triple H.
Look, Triple H, the NXT Black and Gold era, we called him Hunter. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna call it. So, all you wrestling nerds out there who want to correct me, and to my other, our moderator for this, I give you the proverbial bite at the thumb to you, sir.
Oh, do you bite your thumb, sir? Wow.
I do indeed. See, I pick up
Wow.
theater stuff. See what happens when I hang out with the theater nerds.
I
here.
know, right?
I pick up theater things.
But I honestly think that we're in the final chapter of AJ's WWE career, and I honestly think that AJ will probably retire at WrestleMania next year. But I think right now he's probably going to be used more so to put over some other people. I'm trying to think. Is AJ's on Raw, right? Yeah. No, he's on SmackDown. I don't remember anymore. But if he's
on a
Smack-
show. I mean, he's on a show.
I think AJ is going to be working with the up and comers. If he is on Raw, I can see AJ and Braun going at it, Braun Breaker. But if AJ is on SmackDown, and correct me if I'm wrong, after Carmelo is done with Bobby Lashley, Carmelo Hayes and AJ Styles would be a match. But I think AJ's in his final era where he's just going to be singles matches that don't involve the titles, but still be in feuds. And I think we see AJ right off into the sunset in Vegas next year for WrestleMania, which, spoiler alert, we'll talk about that at the end because I'm thoroughly excited.
Are we though? No, I'm kidding. Prof, go ahead. What do you think? AJ Styles. Is it the last of AJ Styles?
I don't think this is his last match. I think wait for the face turn. And I bet you we're maybe just a few months away from a face turn of some kind. I don't know what. And I think that will be the countdown from then. I don't think he's retiring as a heel. I don't know what it's going to take or what it's going to be. Although heel AJ is kind of great. I kind of love heel AJ right now. I do think it's by the end of the year for sure. Maybe a Survivor Series. It might go all the way to WrestleMania, but let's see how that plays out. I think AJ's been hinting at this for so long. He's got like I'm sure there's surgeries he wants to get. I'm sure there's time off he needs to get. I'm sure there's sort of a, hey, I need to breathe and recover differently.
Soak in a bath for like 2 weeks.
2 weeks, go to that place in Germany where they spin your blood and put it back in, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
That kind of stuff. So, I think AJ leaving is definitely the end of that era to a degree, right? AJ's the last, like, I'll say it like this. I don't think we're going to see superstars going into their 50s and 60s anymore. And I think that's because of the way things have been the last few years.
Yeah,
guys around are seeing it like, no, I don't want to be Rick. I don't want to go out like that. I don't want to go out like that. I don't want to go out crippled like that. I don't need that.
Yeah, you're right. If you're going to go out, like, follow the path that Sting did, because that was really nice way for him to ride off into the sunset. But I agree with you, Professor. I don't think in 2024, I think superstars are going to start retiring within the mid 40s range before they hit the 50s. Like,
especially if they've made their money and they don't have a divorce to pay. Like, get out,
multiple divorces to pay.
Get out at 45 and just coax the rest of your life.
Yeah, and overall, if we're gonna talk about this, in broad terms of the older wrestlers that are still out there, or those that are going into their sunset years, let's call it that. Sure. I don't want to say that it's a young man's game now or a young human's game, but it's not like it used to be where, wrestlers could inject or snort things to make them not feel pain, to keep them in that type of physique, to, to continue on, and coming from like a physical training standpoint, you have to start day one training the way that the younger generations of wrestlers are training, to continue on doing that type of wrestling, because look at all the older wrestlers that come from that training era, and then they have started training like the younger kids, like the younger wrestlers now. I didn't mean to call them kids, I'm sorry, but their bodies are breaking down because they're not built. I mean, you do get some wrestlers that still have it, and I'm going to point to Rob Van Dam. Like he still pulls some crazy shenanigans, but on the other hand, he's not out there every week. He's maybe like once a month.
Sure.
So
I think what you're speaking to is sort of wrestler as professional athlete, right?
Yes, I was skating around that, but yeah, wrestler as professional athlete, because there's, for as long as wrestling's been out there, there's always been that, are they athletes? Are they not athletes? I believe that now they are athletes, and they have to train like athletes. They can't just like go back to their hotel room, drink 5 bottles of whiskey, and some other sort of things to dull the pain, in order to make it to tomorrow night's match, in the next city.
And I think we've come to wrestler as professional athlete instead of wrestler as carny or attraction.
Yeah.
Right. Which it was treated as for so long. And it ate away at the mental and physical health of countless wrestlers, all of them. And we don't need to do all the heartbreak of that.
We don't, no.
And I think that AJ sees that and goes, yeah, you know what? That I can't do that. And I think that's a stand-up move instead of, it's cliche to say know when to walk away. And that's not really what I mean in saying that. Right. But there's a sense of like, hey, who am I proving this to?
Yeah.
I've done it. I've proved all that. Maybe it's time for the next thing, or what else fulfills me. You're not hanging on to an identity that you might have grown out of, which in my opinion, some wrestlers stay on so long because they're kind of, that's who I am. I'm this, what am I without it thing. Yeah. And I think AJ's brilliant and smart and is going to get folks over, is going to do probably 1 or 2 more bitchin' 30-minute matches and then be like, hey, I've done what I've done. Love you guys. And then we'll get a pop every time he shows up.
There we go.
Right. Yeah. Like, and we'll be in the crowd and everyone's going to go, yeah, there he was. And what's lovely, to bring it all back around, no one will forget this match in France.
Yes.
Like, dude's a legend in France forever. Just like that.
That's right. All right. I got some really, so I have 2 questions, and this is going to be my hot tags for the night. So it's just going to be quick answers. All right.
Okay.
So my first question is, what was your the fuck moment of the night? Mikey, go.
Can it be a good the fuck moment?
No, because my next question is the good thing. So what was your the fuck moment of the night?
My the what moment of the night for me is the confusion that was Kyrie and Jade and the ref all intertwined into one, because they have all looked confused. Kyrie was like, what is happening? All right, let's figure this out. My the moment was that. Okay. Also, Michael Cole getting really loose with the commentary was nuts. Like, taking pop shots at Corey Graves for no reason, and it was unwarranted. I'm like, dang, Michael Cole is out here taking pop shots, and I'm kind of here for spicy Michael Cole.
All right, Prof, what was your the fuck moment?
I got a few. Are we allowed to say? Can we say anything on this live stream? Are we allowed?
I just said the fuck.
You said the fuck.
We're like an hour in.
I'll give you 2 really quick ones. One of my the fuck moments was the people in France saying "a-hole" with the French accent.
Yes.
And trying to decipher it as someone who's been on Duolingo French for 2 years, and be like, what are they saying? What? I don't know what word that
What
is.
is that? What?
It sounds
Is
like
that a
really
pastry? Is that coffee?
exactly what? So that was my what thing that kind of took me out of it for sure.
Okay.
And also I had a big Kevin Owens trying to vomit on the mat at the end of the match, like full spit up and blah, 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 like at the end. That was a big like the fuck, like that was a pretty good like, oh, you're okay, that's a choice. All
right. Now on the flip side of that, what was a wow moment for you? And again, it doesn't have to be in like match related. It can be like, the commentators, the crowd, what was your wow moment? Professor, go.
Jay's entrance. Absolutely Jay's entrance and that French crowd for sure. There was a good 30 seconds of that where I was like, this is really happening. Oh my, this is pure Eurovision. Holy crap. That was one for sure. And then a lesser one was watching those cameras shake in these big pivotal moments, like trying to get Jade in the middle and the cameras just moving. There's one at the top too. I think it was Randy Orton's entrance. The same thing. You see him walking and all of a sudden the cameras just do like, oh my God, they're shaking the earth with their voices. So those are some wows for me.
Nice. Mikey.
My 2 wow moments of the whole entire evening. First and foremost, I agree with the professor, this French crowd and just international crowds in general for WWE. France this year for Backlash, Puerto Rico for last year. Can we just keep Backlash as an international pay-per-view?
I think they will.
This is how you make me excited. Yeah. You're like, okay, we know the card's going to be safe. Nothing crazy is going to happen at Backlash in terms of champions. But the international crowds just bring it. Let's do something crazy. Yeah. My second wow moment for me personally, as someone who has followed their careers in New Japan and now they're in WWE, the debut of Tongaloa, which means that we have the Gorillas of Destiny in WWE. I don't know if we could copyright their theme song, but Def Rebel is going to make me sad with a generic ass theme song, because I'm gonna send a link to both of you afterwards.
This is the theme song for the Samoans.
Why is it Richard Cheese? What was that?
Right, but the debut of Tongaloa, meaning we have the Gorillas of Destiny, and pulling a swerve because everyone thought it was going to be Mr. Jacob Fatu, who I think is still in the building somewhere. But Gorillas of Destiny versus Usos. Book it, Hunter.
Nice. All right, so this brings us to the Bi-Conics Empanada scale. And we're going to do this in 5 words or less, gentlemen. 5 words or less. How many empanadas do you give WWE Backlash 2024? Mikey, go.
No empanadas, because we're in France.
So we're going to croissant it then.
Yeah, we're going to do a croissant.
Croissant.
I give this 8 croissants out of 10.
Okay. All right. Very
Smaller
good.
pay-per-view.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Prof.
I would say 8 on these, which is 8 out of 10 for sure.
Okay. All right. So we got an 8 out of 10. Very good. Very good. So, gentlemen, that brings us to the end of WWE Backlash 2024. Had some highs, had some lows, but I think as opposed to last year after Backlash, and I mean, Raw's going on right now, so I could be wrong, but I think that the WWE is going to be solid.
Oh, yes, it is forward. Because I'm going to tell you right now, the main event for no, breaking news. Main event team Monday Night Raw tonight is Gunther versus Sheamus.
Wow. Yeah, I heard the card was stacked tonight. But yeah, in case no one heard, WrestleMania 42
Vegas, baby.
Vegas, baby. Vegas. So
see, the East Coast boys are upset because they have to travel to us now. Meanwhile, the West Coast boys are super excited because the California crew and Minnie in Arizona is literally in our backyards. We're all going. Professor and Andrew don't have a choice. They have to go.
You can talk to Alice and try to convince her to let me go to Vegas.
No.
There we go.
That's okay. Well, look, next year I'm gonna do two. We'll do the West Coast crew. We'll do WrestleMania, and the East Coast crew. I will join you guys if we want to do Forbidden Door.
Indeed. All right, our beloved fans, thank you so much for tuning in. If you get a chance, check it out. We got a Patreon in effect, so please check out our Patreon if you have the ability to. Please join it. We have some great little extras in that Patreon. Coming up this month, on Saturday the 18th and the 19th, the East Coast crew of me, JVL, and Andrew,
Jesse,
me, JVL, and Jesse, and Mikey is coming over, and we are going to be at the Wrestle Show New Jersey over in the Middletown Sports Complex in Middletown, New Jersey, and that is again May 18th and 19th. Also, there is a wrestling match that is being put on by the Warriors of Wrestling.
Mike Santana's gonna be
tonight. Yeah, Mike Santana. We're gonna be watching Mike Santana wrestle. There's actually, it's a stacked card.
Kyle Fletcher just got announced to be at the signings too. It's gonna be nice.
Yep. So, so if you're in the area or you want to travel, come on over. Wrestle Show New Jersey, May 18th and 19th, here in New Jersey. And as always, please. If you like what you see, you want to see more, like, subscribe, do all those YouTube things. We are the Bi-Conics. Mikey, you want to say bye-bye?
Well, from all of us here at the Backlash Review and the rest of the BC WrestlePod boys, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay Bi-Conic. But more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We'll see you for a live stream of Rampage and Collision this Saturday. But until then...
Billy Stark's outro.
Bye.